a written production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.
If he can't, just say he can't.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is at top of the hour, and if you would rise, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance and get started. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
You almost got me.
Well, welcome to our first board meeting after the summer break. I'm Tom Foster, President of the 2025 Board of Directors, and this regular meeting of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Board of Directors is audio and video recorded by the RCSC management and staff, and we are also live streaming, I believe. Please be advised there is to be no recording of this meeting by any individual. Please take out your cell phones and electronic devices and check them to make sure they're in a silent mode. As a reminder, verbal or physical aggression toward any member or guest or RCS staff member is not acceptable, and offenders may be asked to leave the meeting. Now we'd like to introduce our timekeeper and management personnel down here on the table in front of us here. Kevin McCurdy, Director of Finance.
Good morning.
Mike Whiprud, the Director of Facilities.
Morning.
Mike Diermeyer, Director of Operations.
Good morning.
Eddie Renio, Director of Golf.
Good morning.
And the real leader of the group is Marcia Johnson, who is our board coordinator.
Good morning.
All right, I'd also like to recognize Alan Kleinhans and Carly Young and Miguel Jackson, who are our audio visual engineers, and thank the Sundial staff for setting up the room for us today. We will try to avoid going B10, so we won't play bingo. We've got a few other things to do here this morning. Okay, first item of business is the roll call of the voting members by Secretary Keiss and the quorum confirmation. So Secretary Keiss, will you call the roll?
Director Brissett.
Here.
Director Collins.
Good morning, everyone.
Director Gray.
Morning.
Director Mapes.
Here.
Director Ruff.
Present.
Treasurer Borski.
Morning.
Vice President Nettesheim.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back.
I'm here, and President Foster.
Here.
Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, approval of agenda. Let me ask if there are any questions on the agenda from the board members. Director Ruff.
Yes, Mr. President, I would like to withdraw my motion from the Long Range Planning Committee based on considering the golf and ADWR issue. That was an error on my part to put that in there. At the meeting, we had started voting on it, and then the staff agreed to do what we were, or give us feedback on what we were talking about, and we didn't need to do the motion going forward.
Okay,
So it's motion number 2.
But motion number 2.
Okay.
so your proposed motion's not been stated by the chair, so therefore you have the right to withdraw your motion, and you don't need the permission of the board to do that. Therefore, your proposed motion will not be addressed today. All right, any other questions or concerns? All right, the agenda is therefore approved. Approval of minutes. Minutes of the June 26, 2025 meeting were posted for the director's review. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? All right, seeing none, the minutes of the June 26, 2025 meeting are approved. Thank you. Treasurer's report. Treasurer Borski, would you please read your treasury report?
Sure. Treasurer's report as of September 25th, 2025. The balance of unrestricted funds as of August 31st, 2025 was $9.6 million, which includes a $2.5 million cash reserve. Restricted funds include the Preservation and Improvement Fund and the Capital Reserve Fund. As of August 31st, the PIF had a balance of $39.7 million, and the Capital Reserve Fund, including SIF fees, had a balance of $12.8 million. During the month of August, RCSC's net operating deficit totaled $293,925 and was better than budget by $220,923. August income was $1,970,059 and higher than budget by $2,302. Operating expenses, including cost of goods sold, were $2,234,079 and $177,382 lower than the budget due to the timing of $283,333 in seed purchases. RCSC's year-to-date operating excess was $2,102,957 and higher than budget by $518,689. Year-to-date income was $714,722 below budget, primarily due to golf income. But this unfavorable income variance was more than set off by a savings of $895,324 in wages and benefits, and seed expense under budget by $285,626 due to the timing of the purchase for overseeding. Submitted by Anita Borski, Treasurer.
Thank you. I'd like to ask the board if they have any questions on the treasurer's report. All right, seeing none, the treasurer's report is filed for audit. Management report, that has been circulated to the board for your review. Are there any questions or comments on the management report?
Mr. President,
Director Ruff.
if you would go to page 9 on your report, and then we're going to look at page 10. I was reading the bowling numbers, and I couldn't make sense out of a couple of them. I talked to Mike this morning and made perfect sense once I understood what happened. So you can see the numbers there. Guests in August of 24, 3783, 25, 24, 32. And the budget was 73, 77 for open guests. And I think that number was a little bit in error. And what Mike said to me is one of the things that happened is Sun City West shut down their bowling alley for that month. So the guest numbers were way higher than normal. And if you look on page 10, under the open guests, it says budget 27,665. But I think it was more of an error from that same source. And Mike said he'd have it fixed next time.
Okay.
So it'll make sense anyway.
All right. We have better bowling facilities anyway, so we can count on that revenue. Next year
They're going to shut down again for a month.
All right.
And then on the last pages, I wanted to recognize Eddie for his work on the grills, modifying menus and having specials and just making it more palatable for everyone and maybe a better, bigger or better option of what foods you want.
All right. Any other comments on the management report? Treasurer Borski?
Under the cardholder services section, Kevin, I've noticed that our accounts receivable is growing around a little over $100,000 a month. And if you look on the financial report on the balance sheet, our receivables for this year are approaching $1 million in just the assessments area, which means we have several members who are just not paying their annual fee assessment. And I'm wondering, can you explain how our collection process works for people that do not pay on time?
Yeah, Director Borski, we have a pretty formal process for sending out invoices and then follow-up letters on a pretty strict calendar in terms of number of days after the invoice is sent out. If the assessment isn't paid, then another little more stern letter goes out. And then I believe it's either the third or the fourth. At that point, we would put a lien on the property, and depending on what's going on, we may turn that receivable over to our third-party collections agent. But it's very formal with respect to the timing of those letters and what happens if after that third or fourth demand letter goes out, if the invoice isn't paid within, a week from that, at that point, we would put a lien on the property for that assessment amount.
Okay. I can see that you've got a fairly aggressive plan, and the collection agencies are getting some money back for us. My concern is that the receivable has doubled from this time last year, and we should hit $1 million probably next month or at the end of this month. $1 million would be 1,500 people haven't paid their assessments. What other option do we have? Is foreclosure an option? We really can't operate with a shortage of $1 million just in our fee assessments.
So we are very careful with foreclosure. That's not something that we pursue if the original owners are still in the house. We tread very lightly with respect to that. If, on the other hand, a property has been transferred to the estate or the children or whatever, and for whatever reason those past due fees are not paid, then at that point we may pursue foreclosure to get our money. The fact is that with the property liens, we will eventually get our money when that property changes hands, but it may take, in some cases it takes years before that property would change hands, and we would then, via title or transfer of that property, get all of the past due assessments and late fees and interest back on that property.
I would assume some of those properties that have large past dues, that could affect the sale of that property.
Well, that past due would have to be cleared as part of the sale.
Okay.
Title would ask us, what are the, overdue, or what are the amounts owed on that property, and that would have to be paid up as part of the close.
Okay. I know we have some PIF and SIF receivables. Is that included in that 900?
Yes.
Okay, that is part of
And
that.
with the SIF being fairly new, that's driving a little bit of that increase. And the PIF fee has increased this year as well, so you're driving that AR balance up a little bit. But I think, quite honestly, what we're seeing is, the impact of a softening economy.
Okay. And if you don't pay your fee assessments, your member card is basically turned off and you can't use any
Correct.
facilities, correct? Can you buy guest passes at
No.
that point? You can't even do that. Okay. And then my second question is more on the accounting report, on the income and expense report. I still do not understand why property tax and insurance is below the line. Those are operating expenses.
I would have to direct you to the auditors for that.
Okay. Never mind.
I actually agree with you, but they wanted that below the line, and it's been that way for more than a decade. So,
Okay. Is that a gap thing, or is it just?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Director Collins?
Yes, Kevin, I've been trying to get a property foreclosed on for 7 years. It's been delinquent for 28 years. There are no one has lived in it in 28 years, and no one is alive to be doing anything. Are we still moving forward with the foreclosure?
we are on that particular property. I believe there's a bankruptcy involved in this as well, Director Collins, and that just pumps the brakes on pretty much anything from a collection standpoint, because it has to go through the entire bankruptcy proceedings, which could be 2 years. So we've started that process, but we're at the mercy of the bankruptcy court at this point.
Thank you.
Treasurer Borski?
Follow-up question, Kevin. Are there fees associated with filing foreclosure?
There are.
And do you know what those are off the top of your head?
Those would be fees that would typically be charged and then collected by the collection agency that we use. We don't file the foreclosures. We allow our collections agency to do that.
Okay.
So it's a pass-through from our standpoint. The fees and the charges associated with that would be paid by the collections agency, which then would be added to the amount due when they collect.
So if the collection agency has a successful foreclosure, they collect a percentage on that full amount?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Vice President Nedesine.
Good morning, everybody. Kevin, question for you. Looking at cumulative resales year-to-date, I calculated those out at somewhere around 1,100.
About 1,100.
And so we're on track to meet our 1,500 for this year, even with a softening economy and slower sales. Would that be a yes?
Correct, yeah. I would think that, you could see the trend in the last few months. First quarter of the year, we were running ahead of 2024, but we started to slip behind 2024. So I think we'll come in roughly 1,500 for the year. But it's, the trend is, we're keeping an eye on it. It's not a trend that I'm happy with, but
Okay.
again, a lot of interest rate impact on our sales.
Correct. So I wanted to thank you. I know you've done a lot of work in the tables for the incident reports, and I wanted to thank you for that, providing us more information. I have a quick question for you. Do you happen to know, just off the top of your head, how we compare to last year with total incidents reported at this point in time?
I do not know the answer to that, but I can certainly get that information for you.
Okay, thank you. The other question I have for you is, what is our IT budget for this year and next year? I know we have security, but I don't believe that's earmarked specifically for IT. So what is our total budget for IT this year and last year?
Again, top of my head, I couldn't tell you. It's, again, primarily headcount, except for the Cox fiber charges that we're getting. Again, I can get you that information today.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Whipper, I was reading through the report with regard to the work orders that are open and that we're at like 6 days, and it seems like we kind of hover there. Have we investigated options to decrease the amount of time between the work order open and close date, or are we optimized the best we can at this point?
Good morning, Director Nedesheim. I think we're pretty well optimized. If you go down, 4 years ago, we were in the 12 to 15 day response time. So the line that says facilities, that's the ones that are handled directly by my staff. Those ones are, they're down to 5-6 days response time. So I feel that's a good number. The other line reflects work orders that are sent off to vendors.
Okay.
So it's harder to control those. Usually those involve, sometimes it involves ordering of parts and things that drive that flow time up, because you're waiting for a part.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Dermeyer, last in June, We requested lawn bowling usage numbers as we were reporting the lawn bowling monthly in the management report. Could we research to see if we could get those lawn bowling usage numbers by month in the management report, please?
Yes, sorry, I forgot.
No, that's fine, it happens. I just wanted to give a shout out. And I don't want to steal anybody else's thunder, but I went to the volunteer luncheon. I personally had a blast. It was great. Thank you, guys.
Great event, thank you.
So I just wanted to share that. And then Director Renio, could I ask, I know you're still developing your report, so as you're developing it, could I ask if it would be possible or feasible, and I understand that there is a potential it could not be, but if it's feasible, could we report income compared to expenses? And it doesn't have to be monthly, like year to date, so that we can see what the revenue's coming in and how much our expenses are operational. I'm just talking about operational. Operational income, revenue, and then operational expenses.
Director Nettesheim, yes, we can do that for you, definitely.
Okay, thank you. I'm done.
Treasurer Borski.
One question. Has the menu changed at Riverview at all? Or are you still in the process of doing that?
Sorry, I just ate a cookie.
It's okay. It's a good cookie. I had one.
Director Borski, Lindsay has been working on our new menu development. We were planning on breaking out all of our new menus as we come out of overseed for each grill. And some of them look really nice. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to package things together versus a la carte. And each of the grills and the managers at each grill have been tasked with creating a couple of nice items that will be kind of their signature item that they're serving at that place. So yeah,
Okay.
As we open each grill from out of overseed, we will see some of these changes for sure.
Okay. That was a loaded question because some of the directors are going to be eating there for lunch today. And I was just wondering if there was anything new.
Thank you, Director Collins. That
Thank
was
you.
very thoughtful of you. Director Ruff.
One more thing with the management report, I'd like to thank Mike Diermeyer, who did not get acknowledged as our temporary general manager, acting general manager. He's doing a fabulous job.
Director Collins.
I just have one thing. Eddie, the overall response from the community towards you is just through the roof. Thank you.
Director Collins, I appreciate it, and there's still a long ways for us, and this is just the beginning of the path, and I look forward to being here for a while, and hopefully we can just change this culture, and that's definitely what we're trying to work at as a team. So I thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, committee and liaison reports. Do we have any? Director Collins?
Yes, as you all know, we had the volunteer luncheon, and some people had more fun than others there. But it was a great day.
And now you know why I did not respond to being called to the stage to participate in some of that hilarity, because I was quite certain that pictures like that will be on the internet forever.
I believe I told you to delete that thing, didn't I?
I didn't know how.
But he knew how to post it.
Yeah.
So,
Director Keiss, it's going to be on the front page of the update next time.
also a thing for the Prides. The Prides have been doing a fantastic job. If you go down Del Webb or any of the streets, they've just been absolutely amazing, battling the heat all summer long, but they did not quit. They kept working. So a shout out to them. The clubs, their template has to be done by January 1st, so a lot of them are moving forward with that. And one thing I'm going to say, here, if you fall down and get hurt here, our policy is we're going to call 911. And I know a lot of people are in fear over getting charged $315. But remember, when they come, if you say to them, I'm okay, don't touch me, I want a refusal, you will not be charged. No blood pressure, no helping you up, don't touch me, and then get a refusal and they can't charge you. So don't be afraid that they're going to come. And if you're having chest pains in your house, don't be afraid to call. I mean, it's your health, it's your safety. And we have to make sure that we continue to have safety here on our property. So please, don't be so afraid of that. There are things that you can do where you will not be charged. Thank you.
Secretary Keiss, you wanted to respond to that?
Yeah, just to follow up on that. Also understand that if you need to be ambulance to the hospital, you're not going to be charged the fee. That's only for people that aren't transported. That's a non-transport fee. I'm the liaison to the Sun City Fire Department, and I brought this subject up to them at the meeting this week, and I'm helping them to understand that, some of our members have great concerns about being charged. It's $133 for that. I'm sorry, I'm really way off. $315 for that fee. And that people are going to be reluctant, and it would be a horrible thing for someone who needs medical assistance and who needs to be transported to be lying on the ground for long periods of time and not be able to get that because they're afraid to call 911, and I think that's a horrible thing. But I understand, I also said I might understand why they had to do it, because their funding streams are limited also, and they have to try and find new funding. So the firefighters union representatives talked to me after the meeting, and they had a couple of things that we could do to probably help that. And the main thing they say is for RCSC members to call the county supervisor, to call your state representatives and implore them to increase funding for our fire department so they're adequately funded, so things like that don't have to come out of our pockets, because that's where the funding should come from and not from us. So please, if you can, get a hold of your representatives, let them know that they need to adequately fund our firefighters. Thank you.
Director Gray.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I have the honor of being the liaison for the Sun City Museum, and they have gotten the opportunity, if we help them along, they've been awarded or put in the category of Best Museum. And so this is through the West Valley favorites. So we as Sun City residents can go on and support them and vote for them. So if you go to their website, you can find them under Arts and Entertainment section, and then look for the museum part, and then vote for Sun City Museum. They've got, if you haven't been there, you need to go. They've got fantabulous information on our history, and that is a special word.
Thank you.
So fantabulous. It's so much better than fantastic and fabulous. So you got to put them together. But anyway, we also, besides the Sun City Museum, and I'll spread beyond my liaison thing, we also have our own Sun City Foundation that has been put on the list. So you can go to the community section and look for nonprofit civic organizations, and you can support and vote for our Sun City Foundation. And then also one other organization in our community is Shoah, and you can look for them under community section, and you can vote for them. So we've got 3 great Sun City organizations that are up to be nominated, or they are nominated. And so we as a community can get online at the West Valley favorites. And if you need, maybe we can post this, Mike, so that people can have the information, the link to get in. But this is a way you can support the organizations in our community and help raise their statute and their awareness across the valley. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Gray. Will you be helping Director Collins through that maze of internet in order to vote for these things?
I will make sure that Director Collins gets on and votes for all three, even if I have to hold him down and twist his arm.
Can you have him delete the picture, please?
All right. Director Ruff?
Thank you. I'm the chair for the Long Range Planning Committee. We have a couple of vacancies, and last spring I asked for volunteers. I got about 14, and we got 3 out of that are really good. I'm going to touch base with some of those who weren't selected that time, but I'd love for any of you with interest in doing that. And let me give maybe a brief summary of what the long-range planning is here for. So the long-range planning is looking out. One of the things we'll be working on is what could we possibly do at Lakeview? Just it's looking for as many ideas as we can come up with. There is no bad idea. Looking at one of the things we've been looking at is the ADWR costs for the community. And I think we've had a little bit of a not talking to each other very nicely going on between golf and long-range planning, and it wasn't our intent. Our intent is just to raise the issues. For example, long-range, or the ADWR has a different standard for the pre-1985 golf courses and the post-1985 golf courses. So one of the things that came out of the committee was, are we going to have to, in the future, everybody's going to have to meet the same standard, and we spent all this money on the course, and now we've got to do it again. Would it be better to do it now? And I don't think there's really a good answer for that, because nobody knows how that's going to play out. If you've lived here long enough, you know there's been years and years and years of fighting over water, and it never will stop. And the valley keeps growing and growing and growing, and you keep wondering, how can we keep providing water for new 500 family area, or I can't remember what the name of that place that's opening up to the northwest of us that's going to have some huge facilities and the water with that. So those are the kinds of things that we're looking at, is how can we make life best? How can we best use the money that we have and raise the issues for everyone to look at and maybe try and find an answer we didn't anticipate. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Treasurer Borski.
Yeah, I want to do an update about the Sun City Foundation. Thanks, Rick, for the plug. We appreciate it very much. As I've recapped in the past, the foundation is redeveloping itself. In 2023, we helped 27 people pay their fee assessments. 2024, we jumped to 68. And as of yesterday, we've had 85 this year. So we will go over 100. I'm very confident that that'll happen. It keeps people in their homes. It keeps them, their cards active. They're allowed to participate in events. These are people that are below the 150% poverty line. We have some people in this organization, this area, that are surviving on less than $1,000 a month. I don't know how they do it. It's a miracle to me, but we have some people here that are really hurting. I would like you to remember us when you do your year-end donations. We would certainly appreciate a donation. If you are a club that does year-end donations, if you donate to the foundation, you don't have to match that amount to the rec centers like you do if you would donate to a food bank. You have to match that amount to the rec center. We would appreciate your donations and hopefully get bigger and stronger in the future. Help more people. Thank you.
Director Collins.
One thing, Anita, is we're going to be putting up an extra tree this year for Santa for seniors. Please grab one of the gift cards off the tree. That they really, you should see their face light up when we show up and give them a gift card. You know, it's like you gave them a gold bar. They really appreciate it. Thank you.
When we deliver those cards, we take all the cards, we divide them up by the number of people that we've served during the year. And we deliver those cards, and these are people that are using these $25 gift cards to buy their groceries, pay their bills. So they're more than appreciative when we get there. I know last year we had a gentleman who cried. He was so excited. He couldn't believe somebody would do that for him. So please, if you see the Santa for Senior trees, please pick up a card. Thank you.
We need to keep moving along here. Director Gray.
This will be short. I just wanted to accent that. I've been on the board of the Sun City CAN Community Assistance Network, and we facilitated the distribution of the rebates for EPCOR. And we would get, and they were usually widows, because the guys die early, that, again, like Director Borski said, they're living below the poverty line. And they would get a rebate for 1 quarter, 3 months, of about $23. And we would get cards sent in to us, and they were so elated. I mean, you would think that we gave them $5,000, $10,000, $23 for a 3-month period, and they were just overwhelmed and thankful. So a lot of people don't realize the needs that we have, but things like the Sun City Foundation and organizations like CAN help those people. They deserve to have your support, and again, the foundation does a lot of work to help them get that. Thank you.
Vice President Nedesine.
Okay, I'm going to be short and sweet here. This is the time of the year that directors ask for volunteers for their committees that they chair. I am looking for volunteers for the Outreach and Communication Committee. I encourage you to come to a meeting and sit in and see what we're working on to decide if it's right for you. So I would like to extend that to the membership to join the OCC committee. I'd also like to extend the offer to join the Technology Committee. I will say, based on reading a lot of social media over the last week and a half, we have a lot of people with IT backgrounds and experience. I would ask you to come volunteer for the Technology Committee and help us, help guide the board in their decisions with regard to technology for RCSC. Thank you.
Director Collins.
Thank you. Yes, the COC, I have such a fantastic group of people on there. It's unbelievable, and we don't turn anybody away, but if you do come, I'll have to ask Mr. Durnmeyer for some more chairs, because our committee has every chair taken. But please come if you want to. We'll make room.
Okay, thank you for all of those comments. We need to keep moving on this agenda.
Can you just explain what a COC is? Some of the people out there have no idea what that is.
The Club Organizations Committee is, they mediate between the rec center and the club if you have issues, wants, and needs. And if you have internal turmoil, we will send someone to try and get it taken care of to make the club a happy, joyful place to be. Thank you.
All right. Let's move on. We've gone through quite a bit of time, and we do have a bit of a time constraint today. The board will be looking at or meeting with prospective general manager candidates this afternoon, so we pretty much need to be out of here by noon in order to do that. So we want to kind of hustle through this a little bit now. So let me just mention a few things. The general manager search I just mentioned, we have narrowed that down quite a bit, and we expect hopefully that sometime next week we'll be in a position where we may be making an offer. So that is coming to a close. very successfully. I think the candidates that remain in the running are excellent candidates, and you probably can't go wrong with whomever you choose, but we need to get that wrapped up if we can. Board of Directors email addresses, that has been a topic that's been floating around in emails to us and on social media. Basically, there was, and Vice President Nedesign had responded to this, I believe, at an exchange meeting, but basically there's just a security issue that's going on here about the availability of those email addresses when they're not behind a login protection. So we had to remove them for the time being from our current site, and once we're able to put them behind where after you've logged in, then I think that will solve the issue that we're facing. Master plan, we've gone a long ways on that. Then we have at least some preliminary opinions from our external auditor that are questioning how we would account for that expenditure. We're going to meet with them on October 1st, I believe it is, and see if we can make some headway on clarifying the accounting that can be used, and then we can move forward on that, whether or not we use master plans here. Voting software, as we've mentioned before, we can't use the software that we've previously used for Board of Director elections. Director Gray and the election committee and Mr. McCurdy here, Director of Finance, have done a lot of work on this and found a piece of software at an extremely reasonable price, and it can be used for Board of Directors and if necessary, at the annual meeting. Bylaws working group, a lot of work finished there. It is now at legal for review on all the proposed changes that the working group has suggested. The 2026 budget, the Finance, Budget, and Audit Committee has pretty much finished that, but there won't be a recommendation to the board on that till the October meeting. Meanwhile, there will be the town halls on explaining to the membership what the budget looks like on October 13 and October 14. So look for announcements on that. Finance 101, we haven't forgotten about that. There's been some feedback to Kevin McCurdy's video. We'll make a few edits to that and then get that posted, and then start with the question and answer sessions that you can sign up for to review what the accounting looks like for the RCSC. Quail Run. Grand opening, I think, starts with tours on the 17th. Is that right, Mr. Renio?
Director Foster, yes, sir.
Okay. And I think some lucky group will hit the first tee shots on Saturday morning, the 18th. So, and if you haven't been over there, it looks fantastic. They've done an incredible job over there, so encourage you to go by. And then we've already talked about the grills at kind of evolving the snack shops into more of a grill, if you will. Website that Vice President Nedesign and Mr. Dearmeyer have worked tirelessly on. That went live on the 16th. Few bumps in the road, like any time you start a new website, but I think we're in pretty good shape now with that. Election packets are still out there. You still have till about the middle of October to turn those in if you would like to run for the board this fall. October 17th, thank you, sir. And then we want to keep moving on our motions here. Just a reminder of the 3-minute policy. And then again, we're going to have to try to get out of here by noon. So let's see how far we can do. And then one last thing. And I just want to take a moment to recognize and honor one of our longtime employees who will be retiring. I don't know what retiring means, apparently, but anyway, Earl Henselman, his last day with the RCSC will be tomorrow. And if you don't know Earl, he's been here for 14, 15 years, started as a part-time custodian and advanced through levels of foreman and area supervisor, and currently he's the center leader right here at Sundial. So he's responsible for all of keeping this facility running and all the setups, and it's just done an incredible job at a facility that is very heavily used. So we're truly grateful for all his years of service and contributions that he's made. We will be deeply missed, and all of us. Yeah, maybe you should stand just so we can. I think there might be some punch or kick later this afternoon somewhere around this building. So stick around for that. All right, so that concludes the president's comments. Let's keep moving on the agenda there. Committee recommendations are next. All right, the next item of business is a recommendation by the Long Range Planning Committee to amend Board Policy 24. Director Ruff, would you read your motion?
Happily. I move based on a recommendation by the Long Range Planning Committee to amend Board Policy 24 titled Preservation Improvement Fee / Capital Improvement Fee and Collections, Section 1, titled Preservation Improvement Fee, paragraph D, titled Projects Funded from Preservation and Improvement Fund as follows. So Section 1, Preservation Improvement Fee, projects funded by the PIF must be approved by the Board of Directors. Number 2, be a minimum of $300,000, and we are proposing to change that to $500,000 to sort of keep up with inflation, if you will. The date when we set the $300,000 was quite a few years ago, and based on inflation, we should be at about $515,000 or $520,000. So it has to have a depreciable life of at least 15 years and are not spent for normal operating or maintenance expenses.
Okay, thank you. As a committee recommendation, there's no second required for this. Director Ruff, as maker of the motion, do you wish to speak first?
Yes, I think I already did that.
Okay, thank you. That's a good, efficient use of our time. Ms. Johnson, would you please read the names of any members who wish to speak on this motion?
Andre Casabon.
Andre Casabon, 153000. I'm opposed to this motion. It seems in its present form, it has worked well. If these increases are approved, some projects may be difficult to get funded. Some projects may come in at $450,000. Then it can't be funded by PIF, but it meets the 15-year limit. A building that comes to mind, and I don't know how it was funded, and I don't know when it was built, but at the Bell Lawn Bowls, they have a nice building there now. And it's not a very big building. It's very nice. I've been in it. I don't know what it cost, but possibly something like that that somebody may need wouldn't get funded if this goes up. So I know you said inflation, but some things are small enough that inflation and this $500,000 might not be able to be helped. So I say leave it alone. You know, if something comes in between $300,000 and $500,000, so be it. Let's get it built. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre. Let's hold any comments here. Next.
Cal Frank.
My name is Cal Frank, and my number is 149-887. I'm speaking on behalf of myself, and apparently with the phone calls I've had the last 3 days, I'm also speaking for Harry Emerson. And he says, in my behalf, as an old soldier told me years ago, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And this motion certainly violates the wisdom of that adage. The PIF criteria has been working fine for years, and this attempt to raise the qualifying floor is more of a disqualifying factor and will be implemented to exclude portions of the PIF-approved projects that LRP would prefer not to go forward. The LRP has sent clear messages that golf is consuming more PIF funds than they deserve, and this is a measure that aids in the goal of breaking larger projects into convenient portions to then recommend funding from another source at a different time. Taking the North course as an example, the golf community prefers to close the course once, complete the various modifications requested and approved, then open for play, not multiple closures over multiple years. Package the projects that we have in the past to minimize disruption. This minimizes the loss of revenue and inconvenience to the members. Breaking these projects into smaller pieces is a technique that is to the detriment of Sun City. Recommend you table this motion. With inflation and other cost increases, it may well be time to update the parameters, but all the stakeholders need to be involved in the process. And then for myself, I echo the comments of Harry. There is no demonstrable need or benefit to change the existing criteria for PIF projects. This motion has the potential of causing needed sub-projects to go by the wayside, not only for golf, but other Sun City entities. Additionally, other funding sources may be taken from other clubs and projects that are in the capital budget. What will the impact be on the CIF program? Will these projects then have to come out of operations and maintenance? What will be the impact on the rates and fees? Will this be the last proposed increase? This motion clearly is not in the best interest of golf and other activities depending on CIF funding. If approved, it could set in motion a series of unintended consequences that will not be fully thought through. I recommend you table this proposal.
Thank you.
Mr. President, everyone who signed up has spoken on this motion.
All right. Are there any comments from the board? Director Collins.
Yes, thank you. I'm very concerned about this because I am very concerned about CIF and the defunding the value that we have in there, because that's what funds all the clubs. And if we keep taking money out of there that would have been PIF and depleting that, then the clubs are going to get less and less and less money. And I am very concerned about that. I'm not going to table it. I'll let the board vote on it, but I think that this may hurt the clubs and by depleting CIF. Thank you.
Director Gray.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have had the same concerns that both of our speakers have had, because I tend to be more on the conservative side. But I have checked with Mr. McCurdy to make sure that that would not impact our CIF, because we have more money in PIF than we do in CIF. But from everything that we've talked about, it's been pretty clear that this change and adjustment isn't going to make that a detriment to CIF. And so that's, for me, one of the bars that we had to be able to pass to even for me to have any support for this. But so those concerns have been looked at, and I think I'm confident from the information we've had that won't impact going forward.
Any other Vice President Nettesign?
So Mr. McCurdy, have we done any detailed data analysis to determine what the impact would be based on past projects to the SIF fund if we make this change?
Director Nettesheim, as far as detailed analysis, I wouldn't look backwards, I would look forwards. And what we've looked at is the long-range PIF forecast to see if there was anything on that forecast that would be at a dollar value that would be kicked off of the PIF forecast and have to be included in capital spending. And there's really nothing right now on that long-range PIF forecast that looks like it's a project that would be defunded from PIF and have to be funded by SIF.
So other than the proposed PIF forecast, we haven't done any actual looking at what we've done to see whether this would have unintended consequences?
Not looking backwards, no.
Okay, thank you.
Secretary Keiss.
Yeah, I don't like to disagree with Mr. McCurdy very often, but I'm going to this time. If you look at the way the PIF forecast is set up right now, there are lines on that where some of the projects are under $500,000. So, it kind of depends on how you look at things. If you look at individual lines that are under $500,000 as individual projects, then yeah, there are projects under there, specifically golf-related projects, that are not going to meet the criteria. If you look at the project as a whole and assess it that way, you can, but I think it depends on your interpretation of how the PIF forecast is set up. And until maybe it's clarified saying that, okay, everything for X project is all on one line. For example, Mountain View. Mountain View has 2 lines for the project. Maybe it should be 1. So I'm concerned about the way the PIF forecast as it's projected is set up, and that areas on that are going to fall below the $500,000 line.
So Director Keiss, let's look at Quail as an example. That was a project that was approved by the board with a budget. We've broken that project down into multiple components, some of which are under 300,000 or under 500,000, but I would not at this point take individual components out of Quail and say, that doesn't qualify for PIF, I have to fund that out of SIF, right? As an example, the pavilion renovation component of Quail, I believe that line item in the project had a budget of like $350,000. I don't ever anticipate that we would go to the board and say, we have an overall $6 million PIF project, but I'm asking the board to approve 12 different line items for that project at individual amounts. It would go in front of the board as a project. So for example, North, right? If we put North in front of the board, it's going to go in front of the board as a project, not as 3 or 4 different projects with a particular budget for each component. So I agree that there are certainly, if you look at the way that the golf projects, particularly for the ADWR stuff with turf reduction and TIF tuff, et cetera, individual components of those projects certainly could be impacted by this if they are somewhere between $300,000 and $500,000. But I'm not going to go to the board and say, please give me approval for 5 projects for North. I'm going to say, here's the overall budget for this project. Do we have approval for that or not?
But here's the thing. On the current PIF forecast, the money for Quail is 1 line item. And a recommendation for those projects aren't going to come through you. They're going to come through the committees. And the committee can look at this and say, okay, for the turf portion of this project, it's $400,000, so let's not do that. Or the irrigation part of it is $300,000 because they're separate specific lines on the forecast. And depending on how you want to interpret that, you could say, okay, this is all one project, or you could say these are 3 individual projects because they're listed as 3 individual projects. And I have concerns that things won't get done because they're listed individually instead of that. And so I think that's a concern and interpretation for the future.
Vice President Nettesheim.
So, Mr. McCurdy, going back to the data, for me to make an informed decision, I need a data analysis of what the actual budget and SIF PIF fund impact is for this change. I understand what you're saying, and you're looking to the future, but for me, I would like more data to make that decision. I am not adverse to supporting the motion. What I am adverse to is making the decision without the data to help me make that decision. And I need that information to make sure I do vote the right way. Because if it has unintended consequences, and I will be honest, and no disrespect, gentlemen, the golfers that are here, golf really kind of falls into that. I understand the whole project concept and the individual line item argument, and I can see that. I worry more about some of the smaller things that the clubs might ask for, or that we may find the need to do from a maintenance perspective, that we end up pushing something down into SIF, and then something in SIF gets pushed down into operations, which then impacts the members and increases the assessment fee. So I'm very concerned about that. That's why I'm looking for the data.
Secretary Keiss.
Yeah, and I want to say overall, I'm in favor of raising the PIF amount. I think when you look at it and you add inflation and things, I think it's overdue, but I think there's a couple things that need to happen first. I would prefer that the SIF fund spend a little bit more time and be allowed to build up to a certain level. We say, okay, when it's at this level, we're okay with it moving forward, because SIF pays for capital. We know that our capital expenses every year are going to be $6 million. Is that about right? And so, but our PIF money, our SIF money incoming that doesn't cover that. And I know that part of the SIF also comes from the operational budget. And I also think we need to tighten up the way the forecast is presented, so that each project is clearly enunciated. This is the total amount for this project as a whole, instead of segmented out. So I have reservations about doing it at this time. I think it's necessary, but this might not be the right time for it.
Treasurer Borski.
I pretty much agree with my fellow directors. I think we need to do a little bit more, a deeper dive into this and look at some of our projects. We may be finding ourselves in some unintended consequences here, and without having full knowledge, I don't think I can support this at this point.
Okay, yes, I'm sorry, Director Ruff.
I think I would like to make a motion to postpone this for this meeting, and it'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting, and that'll give us time to discuss it more and decide. I think part of the piece that isn't part of this discussion is the whole concept of when you're in the PIF, we don't break it apart, but if we get to the point where we're all on the same page as to how that's going to apply to things, then we can go forward with this.
Is there a second for your subsidiary motion to postpone?
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Director Keiss, will you take the roll call vote on the motion to postpone?
On the motion to postpone, Director Brissett.
Yes.
Director Collins.
Yes.
Director Gray.
Yes.
Director Mapes.
Yes.
Director Ruff.
Yes.
Treasurer Borski.
Yes.
Vice President Nedesheim.
Yes.
I vote yes. President Foster.
I vote no.
With 8 votes yes and 1 vote no, the motion to postpone is carried.
Okay, thank you. The next one was withdrawn, so we'll move on the agenda to the following motion, and this is Director Ruff on an LRP motion regarding the PIF 2026 PIF forecast.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move, based on a recommendation by the Long Range Planning Committee, to approve the LRP 2026 PIF forecast I don't know if we can put that up on the screen or not, but it's a spreadsheet with lots of little tiny numbers.
There's one on the back table.
There's a copy on the back table, and that has been looked at through long-range planning with input from Kevin and the board, and then they make this recommendation, and then the board will decide in discussion.
What's up there is not the current recommendation from the LRP committee.
Okay, just hang on a second before we, so are you?
I'm moving that
Go
we
ahead.
accept the recommendation from the committee, and the board will discuss potential changes.
Okay, so as a recommendation from a committee, no second is required. However,
Mr. President, I move to amend the 2026 PIF forecast by consolidating lines for individual projects, restoring previously board-approved funding for the Quail Run renovation, and restoring funds for the Riverview and North Golf Course maintenance buildings to levels that the board approved last year.
okay, you will need a second for that,
I'll second that.
all right? Ms. Johnson, are there any individuals who have signed up to speak on this motion?
Andre Casabone.
First before the motion. We have to solve.
All right, hang on a second. All right, so the motion is being amended. So what is before the board right now is to amend the proposed PIF forecast, and you have specifically have a new spreadsheet that outlines those specific changes, and that was provided to board members, and I think that was the spreadsheet that was tentatively put on the screen. So you're ready to put that on the screen?
Yes, but I have a statement to make also.
All right, as maker of the amended motion, you may speak.
There's much to like about the proposed change, or the proposed PIF forecast for 2026. The overall funds for ADWR projects on our golf courses is reduced by over $775,000 to a change in how turf replacement will be conducted. The $1 million that was on last year's forecast for Bob Golf is gone. The South Course ADWR project is moved forward by 6 years, and funding for the Lakeview Rec Center renovation is increased by $3 million. I think these are important things. However, the way the spreadsheet is constructed makes it difficult to read and understand, and fragments individual projects into different pieces. ADWR projects on the proposed forecast are identified by a color code that you have to look for on a separate page, and then you have to total up 2 or 3 lines to see how much money is forecasted for different projects. I propose to consolidate those separate lines into one funding line so we can easily see how much money is in the forecast for each project. The proposed PIF forecast also reduces the funding for the Quail Run renovation that the board approved last year by over $400,000. That project is nearly complete, and we need to keep the funding at the level that the board approved last year. The funding on the proposed forecast also reduces funds allocated for the Riverview and North Golf Course maintenance buildings by $1.3 million for Riverview, and for North by $500,000. Riverview is in the design phase, and we're waiting for project costs, so we're reducing forecasted funding by nearly 1/3 before we know the project costs. Doesn't make any sense to me. Additionally, reducing funding for the North maintenance building when costs are rising doesn't seem to be a good way to provide an accurate forecast. I have an example of how I believe the forecast could be changed, if you could display that now. As you can see, I've got all the projects listed individually. None of the money that was in the PIF forecast that LRP recommended has been changed. These are the numbers they have. It's just been totaled up, so it makes it easier to read. I did propose to restore the numbers for maintenance buildings for North and for Riverview and Quail Run as it was already approved. None of the other numbers that are proposed by LRP are changed in any way.
Okay, so I believe we still have now an amended motion in front of the board, but as we normally do, we want to hear from the membership before we listen to feedback from the board members. So, Ms. Johnson, would you go ahead and read the names of those who would like to speak to this amended motion?
There's no names.
Andre Casabon.
There's no names for the amended motion. The names are there for the original motion.
Well, I still need to let them have a chance to speak to this, and then we'll address the amended motion.
Well, everything that I wrote up to say really goes out the window, except for one point. On the original, and I talked to Marcia about this before, on the original email that came out for the agenda today was all the LRP motions. BP 17 was on there, and now we're not even talking about BP 17, I don't
It's on the
think.
agenda, we're going to get to it.
Okay. That was out of order then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead and talk to this motion on.
Right. Well, this is all about this motion. On that original email, the PIF forecast wasn't even there. It was just this motion. What was the PIF forecast? I was told that it was later sent out again. I never saw that. Now this week, finally in the new website, I finally was able to find the PIF forecast, and I made a copy. And right away I saw, okay, these line items, turf reduction, $140,000. That doesn't meet the PIF. But now, come to find out, what Mr. Kaisis now put up makes more sense. So this is all kind of convoluted, and I think we got to rethink on how this motion it really is on here. It doesn't make any sense. Do whatever.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andre. Ms. Johnson?
Mr. President, everyone who signed up for this motion has spoken.
Okay. Now we're ready to take comments from the board. Director Ruff?
I wanted to just make a point, Preston, that one of the things that is on here and needs to be there is that for Riverview, we authorized money for the design. And we want to spend that money the year before the project starts so that we can get bids and do it in that year. So that's going to be a part of our process going forward. Is it'll be less than $500,000 because the design's not going to be that much, but it's part of the whole project. And that's going to appear in here so that when you look at that, it'll make more sense to you.
Let me just interject that some of these comments flying back and forth are really accounting issues.
Yes.
And so the conceptually, as Director McCurdy was trying to explain, he would be consolidating a lot of these costs in order to account for them under GAAP accounting, and that consolidation number is what would be used to whether or not you met the PIF threshold or you didn't. So, other comments here?
Yes.
Yes, Director Collins.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to, Andre, remember, this is only the first reading. So you'll have time to look at everything, and then we can talk more about it next time. Just, it's not something that's going to be a direct impact today.
Vice President Nedesine.
So I'd like to thank the LRP committee for the work that they did in creating the PIF forecast. It's much appreciated. As I was looking at it, one of the things that kept crossing my mind is conversations we had in October, November, December, January, February, and March of this year through the exchange and through the board meetings about how hard our financials are to understand for the average member. And looking at this, I found that I personally believe that the average member looking at this would get lost. They would find it difficult to be able to reconcile what was being worked on where, when, and how. And this is something that I do know that people look at a lot, is the PIF forecast. So my concern is that this is not easily consumable by the average member. So that's my primary concern with the proposed format from LRP. Going to the amended format, it is much easier for the average member to look at this and understand it, understand what projects are on the PIF forecast, how much they're going to cost, where we're going, what our projects are projected to be. And the numbers are literally a reflection of the little graph that's at the bottom of the proposed PIF forecast from LRP. So I find this is much easier to read in my mind for the average member.
Thank you. Other board members? Okay, let me just add a couple things here. First is, and LRP is well aware, as all committees are, that they make a recommendation, and the board then makes a decision. And I know, having sat in many LRP meetings, that was well understood that their recommendation may or may not be accepted by the board. It might be amended, but the board at some point would adopt or pass on some form of a PIF forecast as is required by BP 16. Okay, so I guess I'm not, again, I echo Vice President Nedesign's and others' comments of thanks to the LRP for a lot of hard work and late hours poring over spreadsheets that might have been hard to consume. But at the end of the day, we need something that, one, is consumable. That's a good term, I think. Understandable might be a better term. And so I think some of the adjustments that Secretary Keiss has suggested do tend to make the spreadsheet a little bit more understandable. It does not materially alter the timing or dollar amounts. They're there, they're just in different places on the spreadsheet. So I think that the amendment is reasonable, and I guess stop my comments there and ask if there are any further comments by the board. All right, seeing none. The motion before you is the motion to amend the LRP's proposed PIF forecast for 2026 as provided by Secretary Keiss. So I believe we're ready to take a vote on that, Secretary Keiss.
Director Brissett.
Yes.
Director Collins.
Yes.
Director Gray.
Yes.
Director Mapes.
Yes.
Director Ruff.
Yes.
Treasurer Borski.
Yes.
Vice President Nedesheim.
Yes.
I vote yes. President Foster.
Yes. So that.
By a vote of 9-0. The vote is 9-0, sir.
So the amendment is accepted. So now let's vote on the amended motion to accept the amended PIF forecast that was presented by Secretary Keiss. We'll need to take another vote on that.
Weren't there further discussions on this?
We can have a brief discussion on this. No, you're fine.
I want to get these two correct, okay?
Very good. I apologize for trying to move through the agenda here.
Somebody's got to slow him down. Go ahead. I just don't follow exactly. We're re-voting for the same thing we just voted for?
We voted to amend the forecast. Now we're voting to approve the forecast.
Okay, thank you. I missed that word.
Okay. Any other comments from board members? All right, then Secretary Kais, would you take the vote on the amended motion?
On the vote to approve the PIF forecast, Director Brissett,
Yes.
Director Collins,
Yes.
Director Gray,
Yes.
Director Mapes,
Yes.
Director Ruff,
Yes.
Treasurer Borski.
Yes.
I vote yes. Vice President Nedesheim,
Yes.
President Foster.
Yes.
So the vote is 9 yes and 0 no's.
All right, so the first reading passes on the amended schedule. All right, next item of business is a committee recommendation by Golf Advisory to amend Board Policy 17 and remove the sections entitled Enforcement of Rules and Regulations and Fines and Suspensions, which refer to the Ranger Program, and have the conduct of the Ranger Program be assigned to the Director of Golf. Secretary Kais, will you read your motion?
I move based on a recommendation by the Golf Advisory Committee to amend Board Policy 17 and remove the sections titled Enforcement of Rules and Regulations and Fines and Suspensions, which refer to the Ranger Program, and have the conduct of the Ranger Program be assigned to the Director of Golf.
All right, no second is needed as it is a committee recommendation. Secretary Kais, as maker of the motion, do you wish to speak first?
Yes, I do. The Volunteer Ranger Program is an important tool necessary to keep play moving smoothly and on time at our courses, and to identify and cite golfers that do not follow our rules or violate the rules for conduct on our courses. It's an important tool for the Director of Golf to control play on our courses. However, Board Policy 17 gives much of the control of the program to the Course Greens Committees and the Golf Advisory Committee. The current Board Policy 17 is also in conflict with our bylaws concerning the Ranger Program. It says that a member golfer can be suspended by a volunteer ranger. Article 13 of our bylaws say that only the general manager, board president, or board hearing commission have that power. Board Policy 17 also says that if a member golfer wishes to protest a suspension, they can first go to the Course Greens Committee, and following that, they can appeal to the Golf Advisory Committee. Our bylaws say that a suspension appeal request must go to the board president, and if he or she accepts the appeal, it goes to the full board for consideration. The Golf Advisory Committee voted 11-1 to recommend giving control of the Ranger Program to the Director of Golf, so he can continue to grow the Ranger Program, have greater ability to control the pace of play and player conduct on our courses, and give him another tool that will allow him to do the job that we hired him for. Taking the punishment areas out of Board Policy 17 will also remove the conflict with our bylaws and allow members a fair process regarding suspensions.
Thank you. Hold that thought. All right. Ms. Johnson, can you read the names of those who have requested to speak on this?
Johnny Pearson.
Johnny Pearson, 131078. I agree with the proposed amendments to the Board Policy 17.
Thank you.
Mr. President, everyone who signed up to speak on this motion has spoken.
Thank you for saving me considerable time, Johnny. All right, so let's move to any comments from members of the board, and Director Collins.
Yeah, I don't want to do this, but I think I have to. Everything is fine with it, except our rules normally state that if you go in front of, you have a board hearing, you have a hearing, and then if you didn't like the outcome, then you would be, you could get an appeal. So we're bypassing the hearing, and I don't know if we want to do that.
I would say we're not bypassing the hearing. We're going to, by taking it out, if someone is recommended for suspension, if the general manager recommends suspension, then we have a hearing for it. That's the only people that can uphold that. This the way it's configured now, it takes the board's impact on it and the general manager's ability to do that is completely out of control with what it states now. So I just want to remove it so we can allow the hearing process to go the way it's set up in our bylaws.
Okay, so let me make sure I understood that. So an individual, are we talking about a member or a ranger?
Well, the way it's set up is a ranger has the ability to cite somebody, to find somebody, and to throw somebody off the golf course, which they need to do if that person is being belligerent or they're not obeying the rules. If they're damaging our courses, that person, whether it's a member or not, should be tossed off the golf course. Now, if we take this area out of Board Policy 17, then the ranger can fill out an incident report, and we can follow the incident report process, which will lead to it. But right now, Board Policy 17 doesn't allow for that process to occur.
Okay, so actually this is consistent with our, okay, thank you. I think that was helpful. Others? Okay. Secretary Keiss, I believe we're ready to take a vote on this particular motion.
Director Brissett.
Yes.
Director Collins.
Yes.
Director Gray.
Yes.
Director Mapes.
Yes.
Director Ruff.
Yes.
Treasurer Borski.
Yes.
I vote yes. Vice President Nettesheim.
Yes.
President Foster.
Yes.
So the vote is 9 yes and 0 no.
So that passes its first reading. Okay. Next item of business is recommendation by Golf Advisory to waive the October 1st, 2025 golf fee increase. That was also supported by the Finance, Budget, and Audit Committee, and to keep all golf fees at the current rates for the remainder of 2025. Secretary Keiss, would you read your motion? Sorry.
I move based on a recommendation by the Golf Advisory Committee to waive the October 1st, 2025 golf fee increases and keep all golf fees at the current rates for the remainder of 2025.
Right, as a motion, a recommendation from a committee, again, no second is required. Secretary Keiss, as maker of the motion, do you wish to speak first?
Yes, I do. For several years, our golf fees for our courses weren't raised. This was a great contributor to our courses' inability to meet their annual budgets. We increased fees in 2024 to help decrease the revenue gap. Although member fees increased, the largest fee increases were to outside golfers to help bring our prices in line with the local competition, and we've done that. The 2025 budget was also built to help decrease the revenue gap, but the largest increases were with member fees. Starting January 1st, the annual no-fee pass increased by 28%, the surcharge pass increased by 23%, and other passes increased by around 20%. The result of these increases is increased revenue, but has also resulted in a great decrease in the number of pass renewals. Additionally, the 2025 budget pushed for an additional fee increase starting October 1st of this year that were in the vicinity of an additional 10%. For the large number of golfers who buy their passes in the October to December timeframe, this is an overall increase in pass fees by around 35% in 1 year. Our members have been very vocal in their opposition to a second increase this year. As a result of that, the Golf Advisory Committee proposed and voted 13-5 to recommend waiving the second fee increase this year. The Finance, Budget, and Audit Committee, at their meeting this month, also voted in favor of recommending that the second golf pass fee increase be waived for 2025.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson, would you please read the names of members who have signed up to speak to this motion?
Mr. President, no one signed up to speak on this motion.
Okay. Are there comments or questions from members of the board? We're gaining some momentum here. So the motion before you is on behalf of the Golf Advisory and supported by Finance, Budget, and Audit to waive the October 1st, 2025 golf fee increase and keep all golf fees at the current rates for the remainder of 2025. Secretary Kais, would you please take the roll call vote?
Director Brissette.
Yes.
Director Collins.
Yes.
Director Gray.
Yes.
Director Mapes.
Yes.
Director Ruff.
Yes.
Treasurer Borski.
Yes.
I vote yes. Vice President Nedesheim.
Yes.
President Foster.
Yes.
Sir, the vote is 9 yes and 0 no.
So this motion passes its first reading.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
The way this is written right now, this wouldn't take effect until after the 1st of October. I would like to make a motion to waive the second reading, so this can take effect in time on October 1st.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Director Collins seconded. Is there any discussion by board members? Hearing none. The proposal is to waive the second reading in order to make these reduction or to not raise the fees at October 1st. Secretary Kais, would you please take that vote?
Director Brissette.
Yes.
Director Collins.
Yes.
Director Gray.
Yes.
Director Mapes.
Yes.
Director Ruff.
Yes.
Treasurer Borski.
Yes.
As you know, I have a real dislike for waiving second readings.
But you can handle it.
But I think this is, I'll go against my principles this time. I vote yes. Vice President Nedesheim.
Yes.
President Foster.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yes, and this vote will go down next to that picture that Director Collins showed earlier.
Mr. President, the vote is 9 yes and 0 no to waive the second reading of the motion.
All right.
Motion.
Thank you. Okay, so Mr. Diermeyer, I assume that you will make sure of that gets carried through, and Director Ranio will make sure the pro shops are aware. Okay, thank you. Okay, now we're getting to the meat of it. So the next item of business is a motion for the board to identify one of the alternatives suggested by Triarch, the architecture and design firm, for the Mountain View renovation project, and identify a preferred alternative. Vice President Nedesheim, would you read your motion?
Yes, Mr. President, I will. And here we go, folks. Okay. I move that the board proceed to identify one of the alternatives suggested to the board on September 16th, 2025 by Triarch Architecture and Design for the Mountain View renovation project as its preferred alternatives. The alternatives to be considered by the board were identified as Site Option 1, Site Option 2A, Site Option 2B, Site Option 3, and Site Option 4. After identifying one of the alternatives, Triarch Architecture and Design would then proceed to the design phase of the Mountain View renovation project, focusing on the identified alternative.
Thank you. We will need a second for this motion. Okay.
Mr. President, I move to divide the motion to vote individually on the Triarch presented base project totals for Site Option 1, Site Option 2A, Site Option 2B, Site Option 3, and Site Option 4 to identify and move forward with the board's preferred member-driven alternative for the design phase of the Mountain View project.
This would also require a second.
A second.
Okay, we have a second. So it's been moved and seconded to divide the motion into 5 parts to decide on the member-driven alternative between Site Option 1, Site Option 2A, Site Option 2B, Site Option 3, and Site Option 4. Do I have general consent from the board to do this?
Aye.
Okay. Based on general consent, I declare the motion divided, and we'll put each question separately. As maker of the motion, Vice President Nedesheim, do you wish to speak to the divided motion?
Yes, Mr. President, I would like to speak to the divided motion. So we have been involved in Sun City since 1987. My in-laws bought here down on Andover in Phase 1. When the kids would come, when we would visit, it was wonderful to go to all the different sites, and I will say Mountain View was one of the nicer ones at that time. When my father-in-law passed away, or the year before my father-in-law passed away, he talked about Fairway was done and Mountain View was next. That was 2012. When we purchased or took possession of the home in 2013, we were under the impression that Mountain View was next up to bat from the sites that would be considered for major renovation. The community had done a wonderful job on the Fairway building, and we were looking forward to, what would happen at Mountain View. So we have a long history of watching Mountain View and the Mountain View project. And it is very important to our community and to the board that we keep moving forward with the Mountain View project. One of the things I would like to share with the members is that during our presentations from the master plan consultants that came and presented to us, all of them talked about the bump in housing values based on renovating a site like Mountain View. And some of them, they started at like 10%. You could see a bump in your property values of about 10%. So there's a significant community impact for that part of Sun City Phase 1. There's a significant community impact in doing our due diligence and moving forward with renovating Mountain View. Our journey here has been storied and it has been bumpy. I told you in 2012 there was an understanding that Mountain View would be next. We had things happen that were beyond our control that limited our ability to spend our PIF funds. We had COVID. We had another center that took precedence over Mountain View. We have had our back and forths as boards on what the design should be, how much we should spend, what is our fiduciary responsibility to make sure that we are serving the whole community and not just part of the community. So our journey to this day has been storied. One of the things I would like to talk about is where I said define the base project total. In your presentation packets, if you look, it is the top number that we're talking about. It is not the additional alternatives. So we are not voting today for a lap pool, for covered pickleball, anything that is below the line. You heard Triarch talk about below the line. Anything that is below the line is not what we are voting on today. We are voting on the base project. We understand that until design comes in, we do not know the full cost of Mountain View. But that is what we're looking at. So we're not looking at adding any of the additional items. That's not under consideration now until the design comes in for the base amenities. We have to be able to afford the base amenities before we start adding the bells and whistles. So that is what the board is focused on today.
Thank you. Okay, so before we open for member comment here, I know it's probably confusing that we just kind of split this into its component parts, but as you come up to speak, you just speak on what alternative you're for or against, and you don't worry about that you think you need to come up 5 times, because you do not. Just one time, 3 minutes, and try to cover your points in that amount of time, and address which alternative you are either supporting or specifically opposing. All right. Director Ruff.
In order to make this maybe a little easier for everyone, we are not in any of those 5 options deciding what the theater would look like or whatever it turns out to be. It's whether it's a flat floor or whether that's not part of the decision today. That's going to be a design issue from the architects. So all you people that want to do option 6, there is no such thing. It's part of all of the option 5s, all 5 options.
All right, so thank you for that clarification. Ms. Johnson, could you begin reading the names of those who wish to speak to this motion?
Rich Carlson? You're withdrawn? Okay. Susan Bjork?
I'll restate as you always ask. Susan Bjork, 112-650. Hello, board. I'm not going to reiterate all the emails that you've already received from me, and I appreciate your final comment, Jim Ruff. What I'd like to understand is, I went through the books over at Mountain View, as you know from what I stated, and the 5 options don't all really coincide with the answers that were delivered to the 5 questions. If you go over and review those books, you'll see a lot of answers that conflict with the 5 options. But more importantly, this project was stopped 3 years ago because we didn't have the $40 million to spend on it. So I don't know how we're going to get to what we need with the $28 million. It's a tough job. And to be honest with you, me looking at those 5 options, they meaning Triarch, I don't know what recommendation or advice they've given you, but they've pretty much dumped 5 options that put you in the position to decide what you're going to cut and what you're not. So I'd like to understand the process that you're going to go through to determine which one of those options meets the criteria of what is needed and what is not from the sporting perspective, and also from the flat floor perspective. You know, Director Nettesheim, you said that we can make data say whatever we want. I don't necessarily agree with that if you look at proper data, but I don't think that those questions that were asked and the answers that we received, or that they received, really amount to what we see there. And yet you want data for the PIF number. And one thing I want to say, this is relative to the LRP recommendation for PIF. We didn't separate. We didn't separate those numbers out.
Okay, you're done. Thank you, Susan.
Yeah, well, don't blame it on the LRP, because that's not where that came from.
Lori Ellingson.
Oh, so we're not going to give you the answer about that.
Shut up.
Good morning, Lori Ellingson, 133335. Herbert Baird Swoop said, "I cannot give you the secret to success, but I can tell you the secret to failure, trying to please everybody." You have a very, very difficult job. You have had Triarch come up with 5 options, and now you have to decide which of those 5 to choose. Those options are not going to please everybody, but they will please the squeaky wheel. They will please residents that are here right now, but they will not address what is needed in the long term. They will not bring in newer, younger people to Sun City. Triarch at the very bottom says, this presentation was thoughtfully crafted. If something's thoughtfully crafted, it is a way that shows kindness or thoughtfulness for others. It's a verb used to manufacture an object, objects, or product with a skill and careful attention to detail. It's a form of a word, craft. As a noun, craft is usually defined as an art, trade, or occupation requiring special skills. I don't want a presentation that's thoughtfully crafted. I want a presentation that is based on statistics, based on data, and based on facts and not opinions. Twice, Director Nettleheim, Director Borski, I applaud you for saying on the motions about golf, what about the consequences? In 1950 to 1988, there was a TV show called Truth or Consequences. The truth, consequences is usually defined as the effect, result, or outcome of something that occurred earlier. So you have to think about the consequences of the decisions that are made for Mountain View Project. Go through this and go through every one of these itemized and answer the questions that I have before you make a decision. And the last thing, and I know I'm out of time, but yesterday, the Sun City, the Independent, they said we are not looking into the future. What is being presented here is what is going to please the residents that are here, but I don't see anybody looking at other active retirement communities.
Okay, thank you for your comments. I appreciate it. Ms. Johnson?
Tom Swenson.
Tom Swenson, 135-906. First of all, I want to say, talking about the impact on property values, and I guess that's pretty much in the neighborhood you were saying, but something like the PAC, the Performing Arts Center that's going to be going in there, will impact property values throughout the community. So I just want to point that out. Players, I represent players, and we support any of the alternatives. In a perfect world, the storage buildings would be all on the same, connected to the building, but that's a very minor point to us. And I just want to take this opportunity to say, we really need an answer on alternative performing areas when and if this gets going. And I need to know from you the best way to start that discussion and complete that discussion, because January 1, we start looking at plays for 2026 and so forth.
No. Talk about the alternatives, Tom.
Okay. Oh, that's it then.
Okay. Thank you for your comments.
Dave Clausen.
Good morning, Dave Clausen, 154961. I applaud the moving forward and the progress being made, and I applaud the board for all you do and how organized and well you run these meetings. I had one question on the budget. Now, each of the five is, if I recall, they're somewhere in the 32 million budget. On this schedule that we just reviewed with the Long Range Planning Committee, there's something I'm missing, because shows Mountain View Facilities that has numbers in there, but they add up to 18 million, so I don't understand that.
28 million.
There'll be two lines on the original LRP forecast that you need to add together.
Oh, the Performing Arts Center is one right below it.
Yes.
28 million.
There you go.
There you answered my question.
Aim to please.
Okay, very good. All right. Well, the moving forward and voting on one of the options is the right thing to do. I want to just make the comment that I believe that every single one of the options needs to have in the design phase more than just that facility, like not just the pool people making decisions on the pool, not just the Players Club making decisions on the theater and the Performing Arts Center, but the community be involved in that. And I understand that one of the options for seating has been the theater, the tiered, which is beautiful.
Well, let's stick with.
Well, that's the options. No, that's not the options.
Well, no, that's not.
Okay.
Not yet.
Well,
that's a design phase.
I clearly want tennis to remain. Okay.
That would be a pertinent comment.
That's what I want to say. All right. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. President, everyone who signed up to speak on this motion has spoken.
All right, now we're ready for, well, not if we're going to do this.
Okay.
All right, so what I'm proposing to do here now is we're going to go to and address each option individually, and I will ask the board members to make any comments that they wish on, say, option 1, 2A, 2B, 3, 4, and we will vote on each one of those and see which one eventually carries a majority. So and that follows through the idea of splitting them into the component parts. All right, so let's begin then with member-driven alternative 1. Are there any comments by the board members on that alternative? Director Collins.
Yes. I've been on this board for 5 years. I've gone to multiple meetings with 3 different boards. So when I make my decision here, what I am looking at is what I heard at every single meeting I went to. Every single meeting wanted the theater. Every single meeting wanted the pool. Every single meeting wanted fitness. Okay? Not every single meeting wanted pickleball. Not every single meeting wanted tennis. Or not every single meeting wanted lawn bowling. I'm not against any of those, but I'm choosing option 1 because I want to, as you see, the prices are high. I want to make sure that we get the pool, the fitness, and the pack built. I want to be done with this. And even the pack, you better, you're going to face cuts from us, because we can't afford it all. But whatever we can do and get done, I want to get done, and then what we have left, we can upgrade all of the other things that are there. So that's why I'm picking option 1. I think there was the 3 major issues that our residents want done, and once that's done, we work on the sports, because we have sports other places, and we can keep what we have or build more at that point once we know what we have. We just don't know how much money we have for this issue. We got to wait until we get that designed and then we can get it out for bid and see how much these buildings are going to cost. Thank you. Secretary Kais.
Well, I can understand your concerns about getting one end of the project done and then the other, but that's not what option 1 does. Option 1 takes care of the areas they're concerned about, but it also includes renovating the lawn bowling, increasing shading there, putting shading in the tennis area and all that. So there's a lot of things that are also involved in that. So it's not like we can do, option 1 allows you to do one area and not the other, because all those things are involved in option 1. So I don't see how you divide it out when the option doesn't provide it then.
You stated we are not covering any of the additional. This is base only.
That's true, but if you look at option one, if you look at the details on it, it says we're going to work on the drainage in the lawn bowling area. There's going to be additional shading in the lawn bowling area. There's going to be shading in the pickleball area, just the existing amenities as they are now, and the tennis also. So there are things that are going to be done up there that's part of that. So we're not looking at just the south end on option one. We're still looking at upgrading the amenities that are in the northern area of the project.
Okay.
It's part of it.
Thank you, gentlemen. Vice President Nettesheim.
So option one is status quo. We literally replicate Mountain View with more modern features of the same amenities. One of the things I have spoken about is looking to the future, and I think we do have to look to the future, and we do have to do a benefit analysis of what should remain, what should be changed down there. I'm trying to find the right word, so I apologize. My thought process is we need to consider, when we do renovations, we need to consider the future as part of that. We should not just be looking to replace what exists. And that's my personal opinion, but it's also my opinion as a board member. We absolutely have to have an eye on the future. If we don't, we're just going to continue to replicate the same things, and we'll have 1960s stuff in 2060. I mean, it'll be a whole century and we'll still have the same stuff. So my opinion is that we need to look forward, and we need to do the right analysis of using the data, the right analysis of how we move forward with this. And one of the things I want to clarify, and maybe I wasn't very clear when I said I can make data say anything, I'm talking about the write-up, how you analyze it and present it to people. The data is the same, but you can present data to people in any way you want to support your argument. That's what I was saying. Not that the data is wrong, but that how you present it can make a difference. So, and I apologize if that was a misleading comment.
Others? Board members? All right. And seeing no further comments, Secretary Keiss, will you please take a roll call vote on the member-driven alternative 1?
Director Brissett.
Yes.
Director Collins.
Yes.
Director Gray.
Yes.
Director Mapes.
No.
Director Ruff.
No.
Treasurer Borski.
No.
I vote no. Director Nettesheim.
No.
Director Foster.
No.
Mr. President, the vote is 6 against and 3 for and 6 against.
Thank you. So hang on to that as we compare to the other alternatives. So let's now turn to member-driven alternative 2A. Is there any discussion from board members on 2A?
Yeah, I have.
Secretary Keiss.
You know, I initially liked 2A because it provides a consolidated area for the pickleball and increased pickleball, a small number of pickleball courts, and I think that's necessary because pickleball is a growing sport. But it concerned me because one of the comments about it was, well, okay, if we're going to at some point be able to afford covering courts, then it puts them all in one space. But then I had to look at it the way it's set up. You'd have to cover all of those courts all at once, and that's a lot of cost. And so the more I looked at it, the more I didn't like it because of that. And so I just don't think that putting it all in one line like that is the best way to consolidate pickleball into an area. But when we talk about increasing the number of pickleball courts in there, we also have to start looking at, okay, sound mediation, because anybody that lives around or is in a rec center close to where pickleball is, the pop, pop, pop is continuous and it's loud. So I think as we increase pickleball becomes more and more popular. Whether you say it's a trend or a fad, or whether you say it's going to continue, that's we'll find out in the future. But we need to start looking at things like softer paddles and different balls that are going to decrease the sound so that it's not as big of an annoyance to the people that live in the area and the people that are using the centers.
Thank you, sir. Other comments from board members? Director Brissett.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now that we lost on round one, it looks like we're down to how many pickleball courts do we have and who are we going to take out? Okay, now the reason I had wanted number one is I really felt we kept all the things there that we currently have, and it would be more than just a 1960 building. It would be updated and modernized along the way. So now, and I have nothing against pickleball. I play now and then, not very good. But we're going to have to decide how many and who gets eliminated. And I can't tell you right at this exact moment which out of the last four are basically, to me, the same thing with number of pickleball courts, how many you're going to do. And I respect pickleball. It is a growing thing, and it may help bring more people here. But I also respect the neighborhood and the noise that it brings. You go up to Marionette, and you'll find out why. So I'm just saying I need to, this isn't an easy decision along the way for me or for anybody here. And I will tell you, we have had a lot of discussions back and forth and a lot of opinions. And I do want to thank everybody that's inputted into this, worked on it, because it's going to come to fruition one way or another. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Others? Vice President Nettesheim.
So originally I wanted 2A for the very reason that we could cover all the pickleball courts at once. What I didn't realize about 2A was we had buildings off to the side that any performance group in whatever the design for the performance space is would have to schlep things from one place to another. I don't do well at schlepping at my age. I tend to hurt myself, so that's a consideration for me. The other thing is that one of the things I would like to share is that I've had a number of conversations in interviews with potential GMs for the proposed master plan, and every single time pickleball came up, every single time. What you read, what you see, it's right now, today, and maybe for the foreseeable future, it is the sport of choice as people age in place. So for me, it does come down to, unfortunately, who doesn't have a place at Mountain View. So the other piece and part that I look at is equity. When we go from phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3, what is our equity? So if we look at phase 1, what do we have there? Do we have equity? If something gets removed, is there equity for that particular amenity in that phase? Same with phase 2, the same with phase 3. So as I'm looking at things, I'm looking at trying to be equitable to people, and I know equity gets a bad name these days, but sometimes equity is a really positive thing. So I do look for equity across the 3 phases. I also look for ensuring that as I'm thinking about how we're moving forward, and I said before, looking to the future and maintaining or providing the people that are here today with what they're asking for. This 2A would, in my opinion, provide pickleball with what might be needed in the future and currently today. But the problem I have, like I said, is just schlepping. And then I think the cost would be prohibitive to ever be able to cover that many pickleball courts. I think if you look at it, it's almost like $4 million to do that. So that's my thoughts on 2A.
Other board members? Director Ruff.
I agree with what Preston said and what Chris just said, and I think the splitting them into two separate courts, not back-to-back, is a better option.
Thank you. Others? Secretary Keiss, I believe we're ready to take a roll call vote on member-driven alternative 2A.
Director Brissett.
No.
Director Collins.
No.
Director Gray.
No.
Director Mapes.
No.
Director Ruff.
No.
Treasurer Borski.
No.
I vote no. Vice President Nedesheim.
No.
President Foster.
No.
Mr. President, the vote is 0 votes for and 9 votes against.
Okay, again, hang on to that. Now we'll turn to member-driven alternative 2B. Are there comments by the board members about alternative 2B? Seeing none, let's move directly to a roll call vote then. Secretary Keiss?
Director Brissett.
No.
Director Collins.
No.
Director Gray.
No.
Director Mapes.
No.
Director Ruff.
No.
Vice President Borski.
I got a raise?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Let me try that again. Treasurer Borski, thank you.
No.
I apologize. Vice President Nedesheim.
No.
I vote no. President Foster.
No.
Mr. President, the vote is 0 for and 9 against.
All right, thank you. Again, hang on to those tallies. So let's turn our attention now to member-driven alternative 3. Are there comments by board members on alternative 3? Director Brissett.
As I said earlier, we're down to how many pickleball courts we have, but at the same time, Vice President
Borski?
Borski, yeah, Nedesheim, did explain that this particular plan does allow for all the storage space to be right in with the facility. There's no schlumping, as she said, across the backyard. And I think to me that's very important, and I know a gentleman came up here and said that's okay, we'll do it. At the same time, I don't want to see somebody have to do it. So in that, there's going to have to be a vote here. I think it's a good place maybe I can get on board with. Thank you.
Thank you. Others on the board? I'm going to call you Treasurer Borski.
Thank you very much.
I don't want to be the vice president. I have enough to do, thank you. I am in support of option 3 for a couple of reasons. One is the need to not schlep. I think that's very important, but as Chris had talked about equity, we do have lawn bowling in phases 1, 2, and 3. We have tennis in phase 3. We have it in phase 2, but it's not in any kind of condition to use, and here would put it in phase 3. The pickleball courts, we are expanding. They are popular. It's just one of those things that are happening. If we decide to cover courts, we can cover sections rather than the entire thing at one time, which would reduce our cost. And if pickleball someday just plain dies, we would have a whole section we could remove and use for something else. That's all.
Thank you. Secretary Keiss.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on what Treasurer Borski said. I like having balance on our facilities. As chair of the Lawn Bowling Committee, the next committee meeting is going to be very interesting for me. But I like option 3 because we have 2 lawn bowling courts north of Grand at Bell. We have 2 lawn bowling greens in the middle at Lakeview, and we have 2 lawn bowling greens south of Grand, if this option goes through, at Fairway and at Oakmont. So that gives us some balance there. The only place in Sun City that we have tennis courts that one would actually want to play on is at Bell. So anybody south of Bell, and we all know that if you live north of Grand, you don't want to go over Grand. If you live south of Grand, you don't want to go over Grand. So this will give us some more balance in our facilities by having a couple of courts down south of Grand that will, so it helps get us over the hump of not wanting to make that transition. And frankly, I live north of Bell. I don't like to go south of Bell either. Can't help that. So I think this gives us a lot more balance in our facilities, and I think it makes it better for our members that way.
Vice President Nettesheim.
Okay. So I'm in support of option 3 because no schlepping, no injuries, no hurt people. That's really important to me. You've heard me talk about my concerns for safety many times. We do have equity. We have a lawn bowling green that we are in the process of renovating and spending considerable money on at Fairway to bring it back up to standards. We have a lawn bowling green at Oakmont that is used. We have 2 at Lakeview and 2 at Bell, as Secretary Kice said. But the other thing I like is
could have promoted him to vice president if you wanted.
As Treasurer Borski said, the option with this option, because the pickleball courts are off to the side, should something new come up in the future, and we need to consider what do we do, how do we make space for that, because there are outdoor sports, active sports that continue to arise. I mean, when I first came here in 2018, I was told I never know how to pronounce it. Bocce ball was the latest, greatest thing and was trending. And then all of a sudden it was pickleball. So I think having that space as an option for future development, should we need it, is really important. I would also like to say, in addition to this, a little bit off topic, but nothing's going to change in how we're doing this. Nothing. Everybody's going to be engaged. So I just want people to know, everybody's going to be engaged. We're going to continue forward the same way we always have. I'm for option 3.
Thank you. Others? Director Ruff?
I support option 3 also, and I agree with the comments that preceded me.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Secretary Kice, I believe we're ready to take a vote on member-driven alternative 3.
Director Brissett.
Yes.
Director Collins.
I hear you. Yes.
Director Gray.
Yes.
Director Mapes.
Yes.
Director Ruff.
Yes.
Dang, I did it again. Treasurer Borski.
Do you know something I don't know?
No, I don't.
Yes.
I vote yes. Vice President Nettesheim.
Yes.
President Foster.
Yes.
Mr. President, by a vote of 9 yes, and there is a vote of 9 yes and 0 no.
All right. Thank you very much. Hang on to that one. For completeness and dotting i's and crossing t's, let's look at member-driven alternative 4. Is there any discussion from board members? Treasurer Borski?
Yay, we got it right. I am not voting for option 4 because of the schlepping issue, but also because of the pickleball issue. I know pickleball has grown, and I understand they have a need, but I'm not sure we can meet 100% of everyone's wish list. And unfortunately, I would have to cut out the additional section on this option. That's it.
Okay. Vice President Nettesheim.
So I will say that I'm not for option 4 because of the schlepping, which I've already discussed ad nauseum, but also because this is kind of like pickleball eats the world. It takes over all of the active space at Mountain View for court activities, per se. And I think that we need, for me, again, equity plays in there. It's not equitable for pickleball to have all of that space, in my opinion. And that's just my opinion. It's not everybody's, so.
Director Ruff?
As the most pickleball played board member, I would love to see that, but I think based on current usage, that the Plan 3 is the best option for us.
Okay. All right, Vice President Edison, wrap this up.
The other thing I would like to say is the data doesn't support that many pickleball courts right now. And I don't know that it will in the future. So that's another reason for me. The data just does not support that many pickleball courts.
Okay, thank you. Treasurer Borski.
I forgot to mention one of the other reasons that I'm not voting for this option, and that is because of the noise. That brings in at least another 6 courts, and that's another 6 courts of the constant clicking of the ball hitting the paddle and the ground. I'm not sure the neighbors would be thrilled about this. I will reveal I am in phase 1, and I will hear this. I'm across the country club, so it's not like I'm right there, but I can hear it now. And I'm quite a ways away. It's only going to get worse, I'm afraid, which will require us to do something about noise abatement, which is even more money in the future.
Mr. President.
Director Collins.
Okay.
Are you going to give us another, something like schlepping or?
Yeah, well, that too. But we spend too much time saying we're not going to vote for it when we should just vote. But I think schlepping should not be allowed in any more board meetings. Oh, thank you.
Oh, yeah, that might be okay. All right, thank you. All right, and no other comments. Thank you. All right, so Director, excuse me, now you got me doing it now.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Secretary Kais, would you please take the roll call vote on member-driven alternative 4?
Director Brissett.
No.
Director Collins.
No.
Director Gray.
No.
Director Mapes.
No.
Director Ruff.
Yes.
Treasurer Borski.
No.
I vote no. Vice President Nedesheim.
No.
President Foster.
No.
Sir, the vote is 1 yes and 8 no.
Mr. President.
Director Collins.
In light of this, we have a definite choice. I move to waive the second reading and get this into design.
Okay, is there a second? Seconded by Director Gray. Is there any comment from any of the board members?
Yes.
Okay.
What am I gonna-
I know yours. All right. Treasurer Borski.
Well, I want to, first of all, step on Director Kais because I know what you're going to do, and that's fine. You can. We need to get Mountain View moving, and waiting for another month is just another month delay in design, which will put us another month off on the back end next year. I am in favor of waiving the second reading and getting this project moving.
Okay. So I'm interpreting your waiving of the second motion or the second reading that you would not need to re-vote on any of the member-driven alternatives. Correct. Okay. Is that clearly understood? Okay. Other comments? Secretary Kais.
I am in favor of not voting on all the other amendments. However, I hate the idea of of rushing through this and not giving our members a month to consider this, talk about it, and come back and give us their thoughts on it. They will all know what our thoughts are on which options. I think we owe it to our members, even though this has been delayed for a long time, to give them the month to digest that, come back with their comments. This is too important of a motion, too important of a thing for our community to say, we're going to do it this month, and after all the delays, that 1 month is going to make all that much difference. I don't think it is in the long run. We owe it to our members to give them a chance to digest this and come back and give us their thoughts for the second reading.
Thank you. Director Collins.
Yes, thank you. I think our members have waited long enough. We've spent enough money, and they elected us. And it's time for us to pull up our big boy pants and make a decision. And I think it's time right now.
Okay. Thank you for that colorful analogy. Are there any other comments from the board? All right. Director Keiss, we have a motion before us to waive the second reading of the votes on the member-driven alternatives. Would you please take a roll call vote on that?
Let me write it down, please.
Certainly.
Okay, on the motion to waive the second reading of the member-driven alternatives, Director Brissett.
Yes.
Director Collins.
Yes.
Director Gray.
Yes.
Director Mapes.
Yes.
Director Ruff.
No.
I get in the habit of doing things. Treasurer Borski.
Yes.
I vote no. Vice President Nettesheim.
Yes. Sorry, guys.
President Foster.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote is 7 yes and 2 no.
Thank you, sir. All right. This so not only completes the first, but the second reading then of the identifying the member-driven, or the board's preference for the member-driven alternative at Mountain View renovation. Alternative 3 appears to be the preferred alternative. Mr. Whipprood, would you please convey the results of this vote to the Tri-Arc team and then come back to the board with acknowledgement that they have received that direction?
Mr. President, I'll do that.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Go ahead, Vice President Nettesheim.
Mr. President, would it be appropriate for me to address next steps?
Does it involve schlepping?
No schlepping.
Please proceed.
Okay, so the way that the next steps will be, we'll move into design. Tri-Arc has a design process. They, if you remember at the presentation, they talked about engaging with the community again. You will definitely have, the members will definitely have input on design components. I know that there, and I will speak to this now, I wasn't going to speak to it before. I know there is an option 6 that is floating out there for the flat floor with the retractable seating. All of that is part of our design, and we are now ready to talk about design. And those proposals will be forwarded to Tri-Arc for consideration for design. So I just wanted to share that everything that you guys have been sharing up to this point that's been designed, that will be forwarded to Tri-Arc. So.
Okay, thank you. And let me just add a few comments here. And you have soldiered on through this, so thank you very much for your patience. But thank you to the members and all the inputs that you took the time and effort to try and get your opinions known. That was vitally important to coming up with these member-driven alternatives so that when we sat here in this room today, we knew this wasn't driven by a consultant, it wasn't driven by board members, it was driven by you, these were the things that came through those interviews as the highest and the highest wished alternatives. So we've tried to address that. So thank you then to management for hanging in there as well. Now the fun begins. And board members, thank you so much for all the efforts that you did to get us this far. I know it's still a long way to go, but today is a watershed day in Sun City. We have moved forward on something that has been waning for 10 years. And I know we didn't please everybody, and I am prepared for many, many emails tomorrow morning, and that's okay. But we'll also, some of you will be dancing in the streets, all right? So that's fine, just do it discreetly. You know, they always used to tell me that when you won your game, it's really don't celebrate on the other team's field. You know, that is poor sportsmanship. So, but when we got on the bus to go home, it's a rocking time. So enjoy, if you were pleased with this outcome, enjoy it and so on. But remember, your friends and neighbors may or may not have shared that opinion, but we now have a decision to move forward, and let's move forward as Sun City, not as this group or that group. Let's move forward together so that we can have the very best alternatives here that we possibly can do. So thank you very much for that. All right, so next exchange meeting is on October 13 at 9 a.m. in the Sundial Auditorium here. Also on the 13th at 1 p.m. will be the first town hall on the budget. The second town hall will be on the 14th at 5 p.m. right here. The next meeting of the Board of Directors will be on October 30th at 9 a.m. here at Sundial, and the next annual meeting is still proposed for March 10th, 2026 at 6 p.m. here. All right, so there were some sheets in the back outlining a myriad of additional meetings that we're going to be holding to address bylaws and policies and so on and so forth, the budget. So take one of those if you haven't gotten one of those, and please attend those meetings that you feel are important to you. There being no further business, though, and without objection, we are hereby adjourned. Thank you very much.
This is a copyrighted production of the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated and is intended for the sole purpose of informing our Recreation Center members. Any duplication, copying, transmission, broadcast, or use, including electronic and social media, is strictly prohibited without the prior written consent from the Recreation Centers of Sun City Incorporated. Thank you for watching.